5 historically false assumptions about periods. Lots of blood caused illness. Until the 20th century, people assumed that women had softer, spongier flesh than men, which meant when they ate and drank, they'd accumulate more blood in their flesh. And it would gradually build up over the month until it had to come out. If it didn't come out, it would cause disease. Today we know that the reason why we have periods is because of a hormonal change which leads to the lining of the womb, the uterus, being shed. Blood formed babies. Galen, who was a Greek physician working in Rome in the 2nd century AD, wrote that all blood is potentially flesh, since it requires only a small change for flesh to be produced. So in short, they believed that babies were made entirely from their mother's blood. Today, we know that the placenta keeps the mother's blood supply separate from the developing child, and the placenta passes nutrients and oxygen across to the child. Losing about a pint of blood was thought to be perfectly normal. In the 5th century BC, they thought that over the course of a woman's period, she'd lose about a pint of blood. That's about half a litre. That's a lot. In fact, it's about 7 times as much as a modern woman would lose. The amount of blood you lose now is supposed to be about 80 millilitres per period, which is about this much. Bleeding as sacrifice. A classical Greek medical writer once compared a woman's menstrual bleeding to the blood coming out of a sacrificed beast. Sacrifice was a really important feature of ancient Greek life. It was what linked the human world to the gods. So perhaps for an ancient Greek woman to bleed like a sacrifice would have felt like a really positive thing to do. Today though, it just sounds horrible. All blood was menstrual blood. Physicians in earlier eras seemed eager to regard any bleeding from a woman as potentially menstrual in origin. So if you were bleeding from your gums or your nose or your ears or even a cut on your hand, that could be seen as your menstrual period coming out. Today we'd probably be looking for very different causes for all those different sorts of bleeding. But in the past, because the main concern was getting menstrual blood out of women, they were all seen as perfectly valid ways to cope if you'd missed a period. So, if in doubt, let it out.
If you enjoyed this clip, feel free to follow the links on screen for more interesting articles and free courses from the Open University.